All right, Devil Horn salute. Check it out here, Walter fucking Cronkite, man. He was the face of CBS News back in the 60s and early 70s. Before old Stoneface today. Horn salute, my vet brothers. Doing some tribute videos here, throwbacks to Vietnam. I was doing a video the other night and I come across some of this Viet Cong video. Yeah, they made their own little homemade videos, tried to scare U.S. troops and did a damn good job of fucking things up. One thing I think is that we all underestimate our enemies. We disrespect our enemies. It's easy to dehumanize an enemy with derogatory terms and that. And, oh no, that's where the mistake's made, is where you don't give credit where credit's due. In fact, when your enemy is such a badass, sometimes you need to turn into the enemy, act and think and look just like the enemy. To accomplish that goal. So vets, let's quit fucking around. Let's go back to 1965, almost 60 years ago now, to Walter.
Vietnam is all too often invisible, striking without warning from the shadows. But tonight, the face of the enemy in rare films of the Viet Cong in action. The film was shot by communist cameramen, processed in Vietnam, taken to Paris for editing, now shown for the first time on American television. Charles Corot, who has covered Vietnam's war in the field, is the narrator.
This is propaganda film, properly heroic as propaganda film should be. But under the layers of singing warriors marching gaily to battle, there are also some truths about the enemy in South Vietnam. Some truths about the kind of enemy which uses as weapons the terrain and the night and the weather, which has proved that sampans and even, in some circumstances, bicycles can be used to better effect than tanks. And an enemy which has waged a markedly successful war against the larger force which we trained. This is an enemy which steals from us the weapons of the 20th century and supplements them with the weapons of the 16th century, the crossbow. The spear launcher. Who has ever ventured into the South Vietnamese countryside doubts the effectiveness of these lethal traps. They make you careful where you step. That's the idea. This music, by the way, came with the film. This is a smaller model of the man trap for 1 foot only. There are hundreds of thousands of these things along the jungle trails. Carefully covered over, weathered down, they're invisible. And they do their damage. Many a jungle path in South Vietnam, if you trip on a vine, you may release such a booby trap as this one, the porcupine. Lifted high up into the trees, this thing can sweep a whole squad from a trail. This is a bomb of spikes, fashioned to drop from above. The Viet Cong have become adept not only at moving fast themselves, but at slowing the Vietnamese army down. These bamboo spikes can pierce a GI boot, and do. These are irregular troops of the Viet Cong, people from the villages in the universal black peasant costume, a kind of enemy very hard to know, who can fight for the Viet Cong at night and slip back into the villages in the daylight. Those may be villages supposedly controlled by the South Vietnamese government, supposedly, But the Viet Cong are able to acquire actual mock-ups of the fortified villages of the government, mock-ups on which they can plan surprise attacks. Those attacks are usually carried out by the Viet Cong regulars, uniformed, well hidden, usually armed with mortars and automatic weapons captured down the years from the French and the Americans, usually well trained. The professional army, which emerges from foxholes and tunnels to do battle, and which in the Vietnamese War has proved more than a match for the crack combat troops of the South, the American-advised Vietnamese Rangers. Sequences in this communist propaganda film were obviously staged for the cameraman. Some were obviously not. This is the kind of enemy which advances unseen, dodges patrols, cuts through barbed wire barricades, harasses American helicopter pilots. This happens every day. Also, incidentally, the kind of enemy which can carry heavy explosives to the very walls of American Army barracks filled with American soldiers. That happened in Pleiku night before last. The kind of enemy which can bring down American planes, firing from unseen positions in the forest. Communist sources who provided this film say this is the wreckage of an American helicopter shot down 1 month ago, January 9th.
All right, guys. If you want to see more of this, it's behind the Viet Cong lines. It's out of the nuclear vault. I don't make no I make absolutely zero money for the videos I make, so I have no problems being a bootlegger. In fact, I call myself a bootlegger. It even says in the thing here that I could use other people's materials. I ain't making a dime. So no, if I'm bootlegging or whatever, it's with respect, whatever. No, I came across this the other night. It was a good look at what was going on with the VC. It's a 17-minute long video. I think I give up a lot of good stuff here, and again, don't ever underestimate an enemy. Using derogatory terms for an enemy ain't going to help your cause. These guys were pretty smart. They're human beings, and they had a unique way of fighting. And you know what? There's an old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Yeah, you got to look like them, think like them, dress like them, carry the same weapons, and go out behind the lines and fuck them up. Hit that like and subscribe shit. I don't know if I'm going to come up with anything else. That's just right now, I'm trying to get to video 7,000. We're closing in. I've got a few videos I've got stashed. I got a few ideas I'm working on. We'll just see what happens from here. But finish out, man. Never, ever underestimate your enemy, guys. Thanks for watching.
It is a cardinal principle of guerrilla warfare that you strip the battlefield clean of weapons. The Viet Cong always do. Only the South Vietnamese army dead are left here. The Viet Cong, dead and wounded whenever possible, are carried away after the battle. Women do that work. Women sometimes do that work for the South Vietnamese army as well.
All right, we're done.
It is like